Holy and loving God, may the words from my mouth and the meditations on all of our hearts gathered both here and at screens this morning be pleasing to you. Amen. So I love talking about Mary. In fact, when I left my last church, they gifted me this stole. So we have a little bit pregnant Mary on this side and much more pregnant Elizabeth on this side, depicting their meeting that we just heard Paul talk about. But the Mary that I love is not the passive, pale girl of nativity scenes. Conventionally beautiful, head bowed, hands folded, always wearing blue. I love talking about Mary, a fierce 14-year-old girl with a heartbeat like a war drum and eyes lit up like the temple oil that never goes out. We know so little, and yet what we hear is electric. She's a teenager, Jewish, working class, still living at home, her whole world hemmed in by Roman soldiers and social rules. And into that world, one cluttered with fear and silence and the threat of shame, comes a messenger of blazing impossibility. Do not be afraid, he says. Which, of course, means she should be. You will conceive, you will bear a son. He doesn't seem to ask. There is no, Mary, are you ready for this? No anxious, will you? Luke's words read like an announcement. A future already written in the stars and delivered without pause. And then Mary asks a clarifying question. How can this be? And when he answers, when he describes something beyond biology, beyond comprehension, she doesn't run or scream or call for her mother. She says, "Let it be with me, as you have said." And every few years, people start talking about Mary's consent, and rightly so. Does she actually have a choice? Could she have said no? Was the power dynamic too great? Do the words "you will" steal the agency from her mouth and her womb? And I get it, because I have also asked these questions. Because I am also a person shaped by this world that too often confuses power with permission and silence with endorsement. And this month, as this debate grew louder in our United Church family, I found myself thinking about another controversy, another song. You probably know the one. I really can't stay.
Baby, it's cold outside.
I've got to go away.
Baby, it's cold outside.
This evening has
hoping that
been
you
so
drop in.
very nice.
I'll hold your hands there just like
My mother will start to worry.
Beautiful, what's your
My
hurry?
father will be pacing the floor.
Listen to the fireplace
I really
roar.
can't stay.
Baby, it's cold out.
Maybe it's cold outside. I used to hate this song. She's saying no, I said to my friends. Let the girl go home. It felt manipulative. It felt really wrong. But recently, I learned a little more about the context. Written in 1944, a time when a woman couldn't say yes without scandal, when wanting to stay meant you had to invent excuses because girls weren't supposed to want, the song became a coded dance between two people, both yearning, but constrained by the rules. And in this context, it becomes a commentary on something that should change. Don't get me wrong, though, it's still really uncomfortable. And it's definitely not my favorite Christmas song. But now I see the tension between what is said and what is meant. And I think that's happening a little bit here with Mary, too. It is easier to understand the nuance of the 1940s than the nuance of first century Palestine. But still, if the words feel wrong now, we shouldn't dismiss that. I spent a whole sermon 2 weeks ago talking about how the ways we bring meaning to the stories in the here and the now matters, because our hearing is shaped by the world that we live in, by what we know of violence and power and agency. But I wonder what else we might be able to bring to this story in 2025. Luke is trying to write a myth, not a myth as fiction, but myth as meaning. He's giving Jesus a story that echoes the birth of emperors and gods, except instead of a palace, he gives us a peasant girl. Instead of conquest, he gives us ascent, however murky and however brief. I don't think Luke was asking the same questions that we are. But I do think that he gave us a glimpse, because here's what I believe, because I have to. My starting point is this, at least most of the time: my God is not a great big jerk. God always moves towards the direction of wholeness. And so I believe not in the angel's grammar, the angel's English grammar, but in Mary's yes. I believe, because I have to, that she had the right to say no, and that she said yes anyway. And that this yes was not resignation, but revolution. Because listen, a few verses later, this same girl, this average Galilean teenage girl, opens her mouth and unleashes a song so dangerous it has been outlawed by empires. God has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. They have filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. That is not submission. Mary doesn't float in a vacuum. She is steeped in stories of deliverance, of Miriam's tambourine, of Deborah's fire, of Hannah's prayer. She knows what happens when God gets involved. She knows that saying yes to God is not safe, but is faithful. Mary's Magnificat is a revolution. It has been banned by governments, feared by the powerful, recited by the oppressed, painted on protest signs, chanted in detention centers, written on the hearts of the brokenhearted. This is not the song of someone without agency, or the poem of a passive bystander. This is the anthem of a girl who knew exactly what she was saying yes to. She said yes to scandal and possible shame, to pain, yes to a God who turns the world upside down, because she was brave. It is not purity that makes Mary holy. It's not her obedience or even her motherhood. It's her courage, her fire, her courageous love. We are still waiting, still aching under the systems that shame the poor and silence the brave and confuse compliance with peace. The world still needs a midwife for justice. And so this Advent, we are waiting again. We are waiting with Mary, pregnant with possibility, willing to be a part of the tables turning for this world in this time. And like Mary, we are invited to say yes. A courageous, consent-filled, fiery yes. A yes that burns like the sun. A yes that challenges our comfort and asks something of us. A yes that births God into the world again. So come, courageous love. Come, fiery Spirit. Come, God who does not force. Let it be with us as we say yes. Amen.